Hi, everybody. Dhaman Mehta here, and thank you for once again joining me on my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. I know it's been a while. I'm sorry. Went I went on vacation, and I wasn't going to be doing this while I was on vacation. And then when I got back, I of course got really sick, so my voice was like not up to making a video. But yeah, here we go. Let's dive in. Starting with Jamie Evans and the Lonely Queen by the Mad Reviewer. And this is a sequel to a time travel story that dies right after stepping out the front door. We get one chapter of actual content, which does set up four plot points for the future, and that's it. It's just like a setup chapter and nothing else, and so you don't really need to bother with this. And it's better to think of the first story as the only story, because otherwise you just feel like this is just disappointment. So, yeah, nothing to see here. It's going to fall off my list. Number 2 is Hope Through Overwhelming Firepower by Border 42. And this is a worm fic where it's an alt power, Taylor fic, which is very common and a lot of the ones that I read. And this is one where Taylor gets an OP for worm power, where she turns into an android that basically casually deals with the mess that is Worm's canon. This story has a couple of points that not many worm fics have. It doesn't really dive into the character's psyche as much, or spend long moments arguing about inner turmoil and what's right, what's wrong, and stuff. Or character motivation, and it's fully complete, going from Lung to the end of dealing with Scion and stuff. So both of these points are rare in most of the fics that I read for Worm, and I have read, and having both of these properties in the same fic is pretty much a miracle that I can only really get when dealing with comedic one shots. I will say that unlike the previous worm fic that I had on my list, Whale of the Banshee, I don't think this is a great introduction to Worm, just because by the nature of the power that she gets here, where she turns into a combat android from Gunbuster, Taylor is kind of just upsetting the balance, and this is very much like a fix it and OP power fic where it doesn't really give off the tone of the original piece, or the atmosphere of the original piece, just because Taylor's so overpowered that the grimdark depression and stuff doesn't have a chance to flourish because she can handle anything. However, if you're familiar with the Worm, I think you will really enjoy it because it's a huge breath of fresh air, especially compared to the dark dourness that Worm is. And just it sidesteps so much of the misery wallowing that's prevalent in a lot of worm fics. I think it's an amazingly high standard for OP Taylor fics that is both deals with the problems and still has enough intrigue and drama to make it still be interesting, and not just a problem that many other OP fics fall into, where it's just, she's just super powered and that's just it, and she's just walking over everyone and it's fucking boring. This is still interesting and engaging. I really enjoy this, and if you're looking for an OP Taylor fic, I think you will too. It's going to stay on my list. Next is Joker's Wild by dogbertcarroll. As always, dogbertcarroll makes a whole likes write comedy fics, which I freaking love. This one's a bit of fun, even though didn't really continue it, so very little here, but at the same time I just really enjoyed this, and if you just want to stop by and just get a quick burst of chuckles and then leave, you'll be really happy with this Naruto fic. I enjoyed it. It's gonna stay on my list. Now we go to The Dark Savior by Arwen D. Draven. And this is a Harry Potter and Nagima crossover. And and it's one of those uninteresting generic power fantasies. You know, Harry gets sent to Mahora as a child, and then immediately spends a bunch of years in Eva's resort being trained by Ava, who then falls in love with him, like just during this thing, along with her maids. And then they go back to Hogwarts, stomp over the Triwizard Tournament, while also grabbing Fleur for the harem, and then just bitch slapping the Weasleys while reconnecting with his family, who's still alive. It's not interesting. These things just happen like one after another with like little connective tissue, and it just becomes a boring slog to read. I'm not interested in this. I don't recommend this. There's better OP fics out there. There's better harem fics out there. There's better stuff like that. This is gonna fall off my list. Next is more Harry Potter stuff with Temporitis by Mark Jeffrey Norrish. This is a concept where Harry, after the fight at the Department of Mysteries, basically gets like rained on by the falling time turners in the department, and that causes him to start involuntarily time traveling back and forth a few hours at a time. It doesn't really go anywhere. The story, like, there's only 2 chapters. It just really is just the initial incident and premise. We see him get the powers and like deal with it for 2 days, and then that's it. So it's an interesting concept. I would have liked to see more of it, but what's here is just nothing that you could sink your teeth into. It's more of a prompt than a story. You don't really need to see this. It's gonna fall off my list. All right, number 6 is Naruto Battle of the Nightmares by the Canadian Honey Badger. And this is a gamer Naruto fic. You know, Naruto like is a video game. Has a different setup though than like most gamer fics. It's not like time travel. It's not like the thing, you know, where they die and then that's when they find out. Like, this is one of the ones where he just wakes up and finds out he has a gamer powers. But also, again, unlike the other ones where it's just okay, then he goes through canon, this one, it has a huge immediate effect when he wakes up, where everybody in the world is basically comatose, and the dungeons and powers that he has to do is actually going into each individual person's mind to wake them up and save their lives before they just waste away and die. And that's pretty interesting. You know, the setup is interesting, but the writing's pretty simple and non-engaging. Again, it's another one that, even though there's 12 chapters and stuff, not much actually happens to progress forward. And, you know, the author just stopped and planned to write or do a rewrite, which never happened. So, yeah, there's nothing really much here aside from the novel start of the game, which doesn't really get delivered on. Nothing really happens. You can skip this and go find some other gamer fix. It's going to fall off my list. And the last one for this video is Twin of the Boy Who Lived by Dogbertcarroll. This is another short bit of humor, this time the Harry Potter flavored. However, I feel like this falls on the lower grade of humor or material because, well, it has a pair of funny scenes, or fun scenes. They're more bizarre than humorous, and I didn't really get any big laughs out of this or feel any desire to ever come back and revisit these jokes. So it's worth giving it a look. I think you'd still enjoy it, one thing, but like unlike his other ones, or like even the one that I just mentioned above, I see no reason to come back to this and revisit it. So it's gonna fall off my list. And there we go for this video. Fanfiction status time. I've now read 986 stories, and 464 of them have stayed on my list. So thank you for watching. As always, I will leave links to these stories in the description, as well as links to other places where I post this, and like my profile and my playlist for all of these stories. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.